Takeru Segawa not retiring, calling for Rod Tang and Super Leg rematches. Banma Duoji suspended for a banned substance, and who should Yuki Yoza fight next? This is the One Championship Media Show coming up next on Fighting with Friends. Ooh, welcome back to Fighting with Friends, the undisputed African fighting podcast champion of the world. And with me today, ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of announcing the return of the king, the reigning, defending, undisputed vegan champion of the world, and our chief analyst. That is, of course, Brother Gaia. He's back, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up?
Yeah.
What's up? What's up? Good day,
Welcome
good
back,
evening,
bro. Welcome
everybody.
back. Welcome
Thank you,
back.
AD. Thank you.
What a good song. Once very much for you. Also with us today, ladies and gentlemen, the daddest man on the planet. You might know him as George Jefferson. Around here, we know him as the daddest man on the planet. It's Jedi Knight.
I have a son to raise, I have tax
Yo,
to pay, and I have a live to live.
What's up, boys? So
yeah,
yeah, without
yeah.
any
Happy to
further,
be back.
good to have
Welcome
you
back,
back,
Ross. I
boys.
almost was gonna make me the resident second anchor on the show,
Yeah,
but
no,
now you
I
feel that.
I have to give big ups to you guys for holding it down last week. That was a big pleasure for me because
We,
it sucked being so sick.
nah, it's good to
No
have you back,
worries, bro.
and we do the best with what we've got. But boys, check him. Enough with the sentimental stuff. Let's get into some news here. And we're gonna
Okay.
start with our guy Banma Duoji, suspended after testing positive for the banned substance.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is another unfortunate one. This coming way too soon after the news of Kimran Nabati, which was also a few months
Mm.
ago, testing positive for a banned substance. So BG, initial reaction here. What's going on in the one championship there?
Dude, I don't know. Hey, I don't know why it's been so consistent because I think a key thing I want to take away from this article that I read was the amount of suspensions in the space of 5 months. I think it's 6 suspensions in 5 months, all
Crazy.
for banned substance, right? And the substance that they're banning them for, if you scroll down a little bit to the article, I find quite interesting. It's a banned substance that helps you lose weight, but also flush out quite a bit. So it actually increases your amount of urine right there. I think if you zoom in, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Uh, Furo furosemide, furosemide, I think is what it's called. So they're taking the substance to ultimately flush out the system, but also pee more regularly, which I think is mainly to account for the hydration tests, because
Mm,
that's where the guys are failing a lot is the hydration tests.
mm,
Maybe they're struggling to urinate, maybe they can't because they depleted on all the water to make the weight, and then boom, you get the substance here that helps you flush your system out. Um, I think that's maybe what it's for. I think it's to help them make that to make that
mm.
hydration test. But it turns out to be a banned substance as well, and I think that's what's accounted for in all these with Cameron Nabati, with Ferrari, with all these guys that got suspended now over the last 5 months. I think this is what it is that's found in their system is the substance that is they're using so they can actually make the urine test. Because how do you
Mm,
make the urine test if you depleted all your body from all its liquids to cut the weight? But now you must also still
yeah.
do a urine test as well. On top of that, you know what I mean? It's quite difficult to navigate. So I think this is what they were using to get
Mm.
that test done, and I think ultimately it's not put them back in the bottoms.
Yeah, it seems to be, like you say, a symptom of a bigger problem here. We've been talking about many champions losing their belts on the scale because of the
There we go.
hydration test. So yeah, it seems like the one championship kind of shooting themselves in the foot a little bit here. Jedi Knight, do you have any thoughts on illegal substances and drug abuse?
Yeah, I think they need to. I mean, it's not surprising because it's the Far East and there's a lot of kind of left
Oh, here
field
we
stuff.
go.
Yo, that's it.
Here
Yeah.
we, here we go.
I'm not surprised that there's like a lot of guys doping and trying to cut corners because that's what you do in the Far East. Um,
Sheesh.
but I think they just need to make away with the hydration test, bro. Either make away with it or give them more time to do it, or since it is the Far East, make a division where you're allowed to. dope.
Yeah,
So it's
We
like
were talking about that a few weeks
open
ago.
band.
Yeah.
you were, yeah. Which will make
Um.
it fair. AD, there's another point I think I want to make. I'm saying it a bit with a pinch of salt 'cause I'm not completely understanding of it, but Tyler was telling me earlier that this substance is a diuretic. So it's like it's actually not supposed. It's not actually that harmful. It's not really an enhancement either. It's just to promote. It's just help. It's just to promote your ability to urinate again. To
Yeah.
So
bring
they
up
should
that liquid.
allow.
So it's not actually that he's taking an enhancement to be a better fighter. He's just trying to make sure
Mm,
that he can still pee and can cut the weight. Yeah. So
yeah.
I don't know if it's actually supposed. I don't know, but according to the international, what's it? What's the what are they called? The federation. Here we go. The International Doping Test and Management. They, according to them, it's a illegal substance. It's not supposed to be used. So I don't know. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
kind of a
Yeah.
gray area. They all are using it. That's the
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah, look, I mean, if it affects your results on the hydration test, then I can understand why they're making it illegal. But again, it just comes back to the hydration test itself and how
Yeah.
necessary is it? And yeah. But yeah, it's a difficult one because it is seemingly starting to spoil a lot of fights and it's affecting a lot
Yeah.
of careers. So yeah, it's definitely a contentious subject here, boys. Guys, have any final thoughts here? Because we do have a few other stories we need to get to.
I think they just need to allow more time. They can't let the Oaks come off the scale and decide to go and make a week. You know what I mean? It's a
They
bit
actually do it the
crazy.
other way around. They have to pee first, then go into the scale.
Okay.
But either or, it's like they're doing it all on like on one day, and I think that's quite difficult
Yeah,
for the
it's
athlete
fine to
to
do it in
maintain.
one day, but I mean, like, let the guy pee in the morning and then like weigh in at like lunch.
Uh,
You
yeah,
know what I
not
Yeah.
like
mean?
like off each other
Yeah, yeah,
because they struggle.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I mean, cutting weight alone is a lot, and you still have to worried about the additional factor of the hydration test. So yeah, I think it is a bit excessive.
Lord.
But ladies and gentlemen, if you have any thoughts on that, drop us a comment. Just a reminder that Jedi's views are his own and don't necessarily
Yeah.
reflect
I
those
think
of
also
us here at Fighting with Friends.
maybe the Oaks just need to drink more water.
This is also a
Excuse
possibility,
me.
yeah. But okay, boys, we're gonna go to a bit of a feel-good story now. Takeru Segawa
Mhm.
opened a school in Vietnam for disadvantaged kids, and Jedi Knight, as former citizens of Vietnam, what can you tell us here about this, bro? How good does that make you feel?
I mean, it's very cool to open up a school anywhere in the world, but especially Asia or Africa, it means a lot. Um,
Mm.
I'm only finding out the news now, so I don't know where, in what district
It's
or in what
in
province.
Lambin,
Okay.
Lambin County. They use it on screen.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's not
Yeah, you.
anywhere I was, but that's very cool, man. I'm very happy for him, and I hope it's a success and lots of kids become millionaires there since the currency amount or so much you can become a millionaire next week, next day.
it's true. It's true. PG, from your side, bro.
Yeah. I mean, what can you say? I mean, it's a good act of kindness, and also more than the individual that he is. It's not about him, and I think that says a lot about the character of Takeru. He's a loved guy
Yeah,
outside and inside the ring. So I thought it was a big gesture for him to do that. And he's opened up another school, and also as you have on screen over there, there's another thing where he was donating money to the residents of Myanmar when they had that earthquake. Was it 3 weeks ago?
Mm,
Three, uh,
mm,
3 weeks ago. That's amazing. And then also he speaks about opening up another school in Laos after this. So I think, I think Takeru is a role model for a lot of people, and I think what he's doing
that's
is a
very cool,
selfless
man.
act. I'm a big fan of him more now after seeing what he's doing here. It's a very inspirational thing to do.
Hmm.
'Cause he took the money from the proceeds of the fight against Rodang. It came from that fight, and obviously all the other cash he's made. I mean, he's a superstar. Let's be real. He's got a lot of money,
mm,
but he was
mm.
highlighting specifically that the money he made from Rodang's fight, even though he lost, was quite a bit, and he used that to open up the second school. So yeah, big ups to that. Bro.
Big ups indeed. We got a little bit more on Takeru Segawa a little bit later, so stay tuned for that, ladies and gentlemen. But for now, we're gonna go to the big news. Of course, Yuki Yoza has officially signed for the One Championship. We broke that story last week. Gonna get into a little bit of a discussion about who should be his first fight. BG, I saw you on X having a bit of a back and forth with our new friend Tetsuya
Oh yeah,
about John Lineker, and I really like that fight, bro. But you see a couple
yeah,
of other names on the screen here. What are your thoughts, bro?
yeah. Look, the John Lineker fight for me and Tetsuya makes sense just because it's a good fight to introduce Yuki into one championship, and also you don't risk any of the top five or title contenders. You know what I mean? Because unless the one championship is guaranteeing Yuki Takeru championship status when you come into the one championship. Because remember, Takeru's very first fight was for the title against Super League. Didn't give him a tune-up fight at all. He went straight into a title fight. Remember, Jelena, I watched that fight together actually live. So I
Yeah.
think the same thing with Yuki. It's either they're gonna give him a top five contender, or which is anyone can fight for a title, as you can see on screen, or I'm gonna go with what I said on Twitter. I'll go with John Lineker, dude. The dude is in the division bantamweight. He's also a big name. He's got a lot of accolades to him. He's a fun fighter. He brings numbers to him, and it's also a good thing for Yuki, because like if you beat John Lineker, okay, we're gonna give you the one of the top five guys, or if you don't beat him, then we know where you stand. We also know where the
Mm,
guys stand in the one championship. If they don't give that fight, realistically, the fight I do think they're going to make is going to be Picton on. He's 39 years old. He was going to fight for a title. He was going to fight against Ilias Inahachi. Then
mm.
Inahachi was pulled out of that fight due to not making weight. So basically, Picton was one fight away for a title. So I would say put these two guys together. Realistically, that's going to be what's going to happen. And also, to be quite honest with you, I think Yuki Yoza smokes Haggerty. I think he beats Wei Rui, and I think he beats Inahachi. But I think Petanon is the style that can actually nullify Yuki. And later on in the episode, I will tell you why I say that, because there's a guy I just watched on Nick Atkinson's podcast who breaks this down quite extensively, and it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Because a lot of the guys in one championship, the Muay Thai
Mhm.
guys, don't know how to deal with air cushion karate guys. They struggle with that. And
Mm.
Victor Non has fought a bunch of Japanese guys his whole life. He's got the most experience against Japanese fighters. So I think, yeah, he can definitely give Yuki Yosa a tough time, which is why I think they're gonna make that fight
Yeah,
clean.
major comments there, major comments. But yeah, we'll get into it a little bit later, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. Jedi Knights, any thought about the man here who has been dubbed by Chowdhury Sityodong as the Mike Tyson of the One Championship, bro?
It's
This guy.
Yeah, it's Solomon.
Connor.
Ah,
No, it's not Connor.
yeah, that's what they say. We'll see. I think he needs to fight like a top five guy, as Ross says, maybe Pichinong. But I don't
Mm.
think anyone to just come in to an organization and fight the top guy. I think he should fight somebody ranked first and then fight the chat. Just hold on.
Sure.
No problem. We can mute you so long.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Let me
But look,
put him
but
on
hey,
mute so long.
put him on
Mm.
mute so long, yeah. So yeah, just to add to it as well, Takeru, he got that title shot because he came into the one championship as a big superstar already, bigger than what Yuki has done, right? And also the deeper narrative behind it was Takeru fought against. He was basically coming to the end of his K1 career. And his last fight was against your guy Tenshin, right? And he lost
Yeah.
that fight against Tenshin, and Tenshin beat Rotang. So Takeru was like, if I can't beat Tenshin, let me beat Rotang. But beat Rotang quite definitively, I'm better than Tenshin. And that's why he
Mm.
came to the one championship to get that fight. He didn't get Rotang first, so they said, okay, who's the next best guy? The guy who beat Rotang, Super League. Let's go against
Mm.
Super League. He lost against Super League. So that's why Takeru was almost favored by the one championship, because it was big money fights, man. I don't know if Yuki
Yeah.
can bring in that same kind of prowess just yet. I think that's why they're gonna have to give him someone that's not a champion, but someone who's very close to a championship, which is any of the
Yeah.
guys that's on screen right now. Makes sense. It does make sense. Not Super League though. Super League doesn't make this weight. I'm sorry. You don't make this weight. You must stick to flyweight. I don't
Mm.
think he makes this weight again. To be honest with you. Um,
Yeah, a
so
lot of
yeah,
good points there. Definitely a lot of
that's
good
just where
points
I'm at
there,
with it.
VG. But yeah, of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any thoughts, let us know in the comments. Jedi, any thoughts here on Yuki Yoza? Once more, I think he might be frozen again.
He's on mute.
Nah, he's not on mute. He's just frozen, I think.
Okay.
But okay then. Yeah.
But before we move on, AD, before we move
Mhm.
on, can you just bring my screen onto screen quickly? It's the last thing on UK that I'm going to bring up. It's just a quick little breakdown, and you can find the link in our description to this podcast on Nick Atkins' YouTube page, where this guy highlights a little bit of why who he thinks can beat Yuki and who can't because of his style, and it's done by the guy named Ichi. I'll research a bit more about who he is and where he's from. But he sounds like a Japanese guy, but he's not Japanese.
In the training fight, I suggest anyone who hasn't watched it go watch Yuki Yoza versus Taiyo Asaisa 2. And then he became K1 world champion. He is a kicking based fighter. He liked to use low kick a lot, and he used it in a very creative way. His signature kick is called Yosa kick, when he like kick and cut through the opponent leg and attack the real leg. And he is also very good with a calf kick to the front leg. So the way he works is that he is like,
Look at him, bruh.
yeah, it's like this. This one is again Alan Clark. You can see that he is he's a cheeky little bucker, isn't he? He like pushes. He what he does is that he pushes the opponent off. He changes their balance, and then he target that kick. If your weight is in the rear leg, he kick the rear leg. If your weight is in your front leg, he kick the front leg. And then you end up like a rabbit. You just jump all over the face and you look silly. And then he would, do some cheeky thing, like there's a thing in Kyokushin Karate called Ashibarai, where you
Yes.
hook your opponent leg to just make them
Mm.
lost balance. Do you get score on it? No, but he is, he's cheeky with it. He make you look, he make you feel embarrassed, and that is his target. And
Yeah. So
Mm.
that's a little bit of a breakdown. There's a bit more. It goes into more detail about it later in the episode. I don't want to play the whole thing, but he breaks down the Yoki very detailed and what his best weapons are and what his weaknesses are, and who in the one championship will match up to that, and who actually he would just obliterate. So go watch that out. It's very entertaining and also very insightful to break down the new entry of Yuki Yoza. As you were, AD. Sorry about that.
No. I think yeah, just watching him there. I haven't really seen too much from Yuki Yoza personally. I was watching some tape of him back earlier today in preparation for our show. But yeah, that was a very interesting clip, and it's very interesting to see that he's applying his own kind of trademark techniques and a bit of that Kyokushin. So it's very
Yeah.
refreshing to see, bruh. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing him in his debut.
Yeah, me
So yeah,
too.
thank you for sharing that, PG. That was very
Thank you.
very
Thank
interesting
you.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to watch it a bit more because there's more detail to it. So we're gonna move on to our next story,
Yep.
and we're gonna bring it back to our guy Takeru, the main event of this episode, and also on the Nick Atkins podcast, on the same episode, Ichi announces Takeru's announcement on he's not going to retire anymore. So that's the meat and potatoes of our episode, and I'm gonna play it through here a little bit before we get our opinions on it.
moment when Masaki Noiri upset the one shy that like no one saw coming. It was a spectacular knockout, and of course Rotang, who does not KO anyone, KO Takeru, who is known for his iron chin, and that was like a really shocking moment for Japanese fans. Everyone was asking, "Oh, is Takeru is going to retire?" He just came out and in an interview with Oricon New a few hours ago that I am not retiring. I am going to rematch Rotang, and I'm also like targeting maybe going after Super Leg. So yeah, there's like a lot of interest in development for Japanese champions in one championship.
What do you think? Do you think that Takeru could beat Rodtang or Super League? He's lost to both now. Do you think he would get any better fortune if he rematched them, or should he maybe fight someone else? Is a world title beyond Takeru, do you think, in one championship?
Nick, I saw Takeru got knocked out by Tanzant. That is not Take. Takeru when Takeru enter one championship, right? He is already lost a few steps, but he is still very fast. He still has his moment, right? He had that one amazing moment against Super Leg. I suspect that his shin, which is one of his greatest weapon, is gone, and that is why I think that it would be very difficult for him to become world champion again. I am sure one championship would give him another title shot because he is their biggest superstar in Japan. If they want to do another event in Japan, but I I don't think he can reach that top again.
Oh, okay.
Big
What do
statements
you
there,
make of
yo.
that, AD? So the year, he's
Um,
obviously not going to retire. He wants to get that super fights back. At the age of 33, he's made some really good points. So this guy obviously has been following Takedo for quite some time, and obviously Japanese fighters. So, what do you make of that sentiment, of that statement made there by Ichi?
yeah, look, I mean, first off, I'm very happy to hear the news that he's not retiring. Of course,
Yeah,
a fighter like Takeru Segawa, we want to have him around for as long as possible. But I think it's an excellent point that he makes there. Rodtang doesn't really finish anyone, and Rodtang did knock Takeru down. But at the same time, Tanzin also did, but the man got back up, right, and then he finished him. You know what I mean? So I don't think that can really be a factor when we talk about this chin that Tanzin knocked down.
yes, yes,
But definitely the Rodtang knockout was very surprising for everyone. I mean, that sent shockwaves through the combat sports world. But yeah, I'm super hyped that he's not retiring. In the bigger scheme of things, I think kind of where the Japan versus Thailand narrative is going now, it would be crazy for Takeru to leave the sport at this time, bro,
yeah,
because he's such
yeah.
a big part of the Japanese
Mm.
combat sports world. So I want to see him around. He's one of the best, and I want to see the best compete against the best. And it seems like it's Thailand versus Japan. That's kind of the narrative they're pushing. So I'm very much here for that. I'm very excited to hear the news, and yeah, super hyped to see what's next for him. I'd like to see the Rodtang rematch just because the
Me
fight was
too.
over so quickly. And I'd really like to see the two of them go hammer and tongs for at least a round or two. So yeah, super hyped for the news, Brian. Very excited to see what happens next.
Absolutely, bro. I'm also very excited. Obviously, he's a big fan, big favorite of one of my fighters. So the thing is, I'm not sure if you saw the tape that came out after the Rodtang fight. It was released, I think, like 2 or 3 days after that fight had happened. And Takedo actually came into that fight with a broken rib and the
Mm,
fractured sternum. And they were showing footage of him hitting pads before the fight started, and he couldn't even hit the pads. He was struggling to breathe. He was putting his arms up. He had a difficult time, basically. So I also agree with you. I don't think we can go too much about his chin. I just think maybe in that fight with Rodtang, he came into that fight with basically a handicap, and that's
yeah,
why he couldn't really defend
compromised.
himself. He was compromised, yeah. So I
Mm,
want to see a healthy Takedo go at him. And they were saying another thing in that video that wanted to check out, and for the people out there that um, Takedo now with his coaches are starting to develop a new way for him to train because what had happened was they were training so heavily. His training regime was so crazy that it was actually depleting his body rather than actually making it stronger and better. He wasn't doing it the right way. He felt that maximum training, hard reps, hard everything all the time was the way to go. But in the end, it was actually depleting him faster. It was making him come to his end a lot quicker. So
mm,
now they're trying to rework a new way of fighting so they can actually make his body stay strength and conditioned and not actually get defeated so quickly. So yeah, let's see. I don't want him to retire at this point. I want him to stay there, especially because Yuki Yoza's in the one championship now, and I think you're going to see more of him in Yuki's corner. Takero's going to be in Yuki's corner a lot. So yeah, let's see what
yeah.
happens with the new fighters coming in.
Yeah, super hyped for that, bro. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let us know your thoughts in the comments. How happy you are, or maybe you think Takeru should retire and you disagree with us. Let us know. Like and subscribe to Fighting with Friends. Of course, just one more story that kind of came out a few minutes
Yeah.
ago. Just not a big deal, or not too much of a big deal. Freddie Haggerty announcing that he does have a fight booked. Didn't say against who, but
Mm.
of course we saw him lose to Jordan Estepinian in his last
Yes.
fight. So we'll look for him to try and make a comeback here. So
Woo.
yeah, just a bit more news for people. PG, any fights
Tetsuya.
you probably want to see for him? Yeah, I'll wait it to your shout out
Tetsuya
to our
giving us
guy.
the news there.
Shout out to
Yes.
our guy.
I
Yeah.
actually I actually messaged Tetsuya earlier to find out if he'd be interested to jump on the podcast with us at some point because I'm like, you're up to date with everything with one championship so consistently. So I thought Why not?
Yeah,
But
make it happen, Tetsuya.
for Jordan Estupiñán, you ask me who do I think should be fighting? Not Jordan or Freddie Haggerty.
Freddie. Yeah.
So this is flyweight, right? This is flyweight Muay Thai.
Mm.
So you lost to Jordan. Um, who do I think he should be fighting next? I mean, he coming off a loss. He can't really climb up right now. Um, mm, maybe he can go against Huang Luang. I mean, he's not ranked, but he's also on a good streak at the moment. Um, I was gonna say Akif Buluzada because he's also young, but he's fighting this weekend, so that's not a chance of happening. I thought that would have been the next fight. But there's this other boy that's really good. Let me just get his name. It's the Italian kid. Uh, there's Gozali. There's Johan Gozali. You know, there's Gozali. There's another young fighter you could go up against. Also, a good name. I don't think that would be a bad fight at all, considering that Gozali's last fight was against the other Superman brother and he lost. So
Yeah.
I would have said go up against Jojo. That would be a sick fight actually to watch. Now that I'm looking at it. I want to get that other boy's name, that Italian boy. He's a top class fighter. Let me just see. I think Xiao I also fought against him. Xiao made a call out to fight against Takeru as well.
I saw
And
that, yeah, but Muay Thai, kickboxing, bro.
it's not the
You
same
know,
thing, bro.
yeah. So I think let him stay in Muay Thai now because
Let him stay in Muay
he's
Thai.
on the tear there, and let him keep doing his thing there for now.
Eddie, I'm struggling to get this kid's name right now, but when I get it, I'll talk about it when we do our live this weekend. I'll
Yeah,
bring up
and
his name.
speaking of our live, ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder that we will be live this weekend for One Fight Night 31, as you can see, taking place in 3 days, 8 hours, and 25 minutes, and we'll be there for all of it. BG, nice to have you back,
Mhm.
Brian. Any final
Thank
thoughts
you.
before we wrap up here?
No, it's good to be back. It feels great. I was so excited. Thought it was like a child on a Christmas Eve. I'm like, dude, I'm so amped to be back. So, yeah, many thanks for you guys to hold it down last week to maintain our consistency. Big ups to everybody that tuned in and showed the support. And I'm just looking forward to doing more content with you this week coming up, and also going to our live. I'm just super excited. So yeah, big ups, big ups.
Give thanks, give thanks. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you have made it this far, give thanks to you. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to Fighting with Friends, share the video, and yeah, we'll see you on the live stream on Saturday morning, right?
Yes.
It's 3 days, 8 hours. Yeah, so Saturday morning, keep a lookout for us. But yeah, just thank you so much once again. We're gonna get out of here and have some dinner. So yeah,
Yeah.
have a great week. We'll see you on Saturday. Goodbye, everyone.